You think the most dangerous place on Earth is a war zone? Wrong. The most dangerous place on Earth is a factory, 90 miles off the coast of China, in a city called Hsinchu, on an island called Taiwan. Nobody noticed that one single company, manufactures 90% of the world's most advanced computer chips. Nobody noticed that your phone, your car, your bank, your military, your entire digital existence runs through a factory that sits within range of Chinese missiles. Nobody noticed that Taiwan built a weapon without firing a single bullet. Nobody noticed the silicon shield. This is not a technology story. This is a geopolitical hostage situation, and the entire world is the hostage. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, founded 1987, Hsinchu Science Park. One man's vision, Morris Chang, a Chinese-born engineer who had worked at Texas Instruments and saw something nobody else saw. The world was splitting into two kinds of companies, the ones who designed chips and the ones who built them. Intel did both. Samsung did both. Chang's insight was radical. Do only one thing. Build chips. Build them better than anyone. Build them for everyone. He bet that Apple, Nvidia, AMD, Qualcomm, the companies designing the future, would rather pay someone else to manufacture it. He was right. Today, TSMC factory produces chips for every major tech company on Earth. Apple's iPhone processor? TSMC. Nvidia's AI chips? TSMC. AMD's data center processors? TSMC. Qualcomm's smartphone chips? TSMC. Intel tried to design and build. Intel fell behind. Samsung tried to design and build. Samsung fell behind. TSMC did one thing. Now it owns everything. Here is a number that should terrify you. 60% of global semiconductor revenue. 90% of advanced chips, the ones below 7 nanometers. The ones that go into fighter jets, missile guidance systems, AI training clusters, satellites. These chips are not made in America. They are not made in Europe. They are made on an island that China claims as its own territory. And the world has built its entire technological future on top of that island. Every Tesla, every iPhone, every F-35 guidance computer, every artificial intelligence model training in a data center, all of it. One factory, one island, one geopolitical crisis away from zero. Here is the part nobody says out loud. Taiwan does not have nuclear weapons. Taiwan does not have the world's largest army. Taiwan has a GDP smaller than Texas. And yet China has not invaded. Not because of American promises, not because of international law, because of the silicon shield. The term was coined by Taiwanese strategists. The logic is brutal in its simplicity. If China takes Taiwan, the world loses TSMC. If the world loses TSMC, the global economy collapses. If the global economy collapses, China's economy collapses alongside it. Taiwan has made itself uninvadable by making itself indispensable. This is not defense through military strength. This is defense through dependency. And the dependency is absolute. So why doesn't someone else just build these chips? Because the machine that makes the chips, the extreme ultraviolet lithography machine, is the most complex device humans have ever built. It costs $200 million per machine. It is made by one company, ASML, in the Netherlands. It has 100,000 components. The mirrors inside are the flattest surfaces ever manufactured by human beings. Flatter than a pancake stretched to the size of Germany. TSMC owns more of these machines than everyone else combined. Not because TSMC is richer, but because ASML's technology itself depends on Taiwanese components. The supply chain loops back on itself. This is the semiconductor supply chain. 100,000 parts, dozens of countries, centuries of accumulated engineering knowledge. And the only place on Earth where all of it comes together into a working chip? Hsinchu, Tainan, Kaohsiung, Taiwan. Beijing understands the trap. China has spent more than $150 billion trying to build its own TSMC monopoly. The Semiconductor. Manufacturing International Corporation, SMIC, is China's answer. It has been the answer for 20 years. It is still 5 years behind. US sanctions cut China off from ASML's EUV machines. No EUV, no advanced chips. No advanced chips, no AI dominance. No AI dominance, no future. But here is what the West missed. In August 2023, Huawei released the Mate 60 Pro. Inside was a 7-nanometer chip made by SMIC, using older deep ultraviolet machines with a technique called multi-patterning. It was slower, it was less efficient, it was more expensive. But it worked. China had proven it could build advanced chips without the machines the West said were essential. Not as good as TSMC. Not yet. But the gap is closing, and this channel already covered the rare earths that China controls. The gallium, the germanium, the raw materials TSMC needs. Beijing is not trying to beat TSMC at its own game. Beijing is trying to make sure that when Taiwan falls, the world does not collapse. Because if the world survives the fall, then the silicon shield was never really a shield at all. So here is the terrifying math. If China invades Taiwan tomorrow, TSMC stops producing chips in 24 hours. The global semiconductor supply dries up. Apple cannot make iPhones. Nvidia cannot make AI chips. The US military cannot replace guidance systems. The world economy loses an estimated $2 trillion in the first year. China's economy loses $500 billion. Chinese factories, the ones assembling everything those chips go into, shut down. The Communist Party faces economic collapse on a scale it has never managed. That is the silicon shield. But if China keeps building, if SMIC reaches 3 nanometers, if Huawei designs chips that don't need TSMC at all, if the rare earth advantage, gallium, germanium, gives China leverage over the entire semiconductor supply chain, then the shield disappears. Taiwan becomes just an island, not indispensable, just there. And Beijing has been patient for 75 years. The race is not between China and Taiwan. The race is between China's semiconductor program and the world's willingness to defend a dependency it created for itself. Here is the question nobody is asking. Not whether China will invade Taiwan, not whether the US will defend it. The question is, what happens when the world's most advanced technology is controlled by a single company on a disputed island, and the country claiming that island is building its own version of that company? What happens when the silicon shield becomes a silicon trigger? The chips in your pocket, the AI in the cloud, the weapons in the silo, all made in one place, all dependent on one island, all one miscalculation away from zero. That is not a technology problem. That is the geopolitical fault line of the 21st century. And nobody noticed. The world runs on systems most people never see. Chips in phones, chips in missiles, chips in everything. That's why you're here. That's why this channel exists. If you want to see the hidden forces before they become headlines, subscribe. The next system will change how you see the world.